in your life, business, or career. Now, I'm sure you can all relate that being an event professional can be a real adventure. I have so many memories of awesome clients that I've served at just incredible events that we put together. And I have other memories from back then too. But even when I think about, the times when maybe everything didn't go the way we would have liked, the ups and downs, and the clients who were maybe seemed impossible to please, the thing I still take away from all of that were the valuable and priceless lessons that I learned through that entire experience. Now, this particular couple, Tony and Carla, really helped put things into perspective for me and remind me why I got into this business and kind of taught me what this business is really all about. Now, sometimes whether it's football or wedding planning, we can lose focus on why it is we do what we do. And so that's what I want to try to help all of us do today, is get refocused and kind of put things into a different perspective, maybe talk about what it is that we do in a way that maybe you never thought about it. Now, we can all agree that we work very hard at what we do. But just because we work hard doesn't mean that bringing our absolute best to our clients has to be hard work. It's really all about the emotions, the mindset that you take into it, and all the emotions you put behind what you do. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to show you how you actually already have the resources you need in order to be a leader in this industry, in order to be seen as an influencer, in order to bring your absolute best week in and week out, all year round, to all your clients. What people don't realize sometimes is that being a leader, being world-class, is not as far-fetched, is not as difficult as you might think. And being a world-class event professional is a lot simpler than you might imagine too. If you stick to these main principles that I'm going to get into here in a second, I can promise you that you'll probably be seen, well, you'll definitely be seen as a leader by not only the clients you have now, but everyone connected to them and countless customers in the future. So what I'm going to talk about today are two principles that I follow that help me find success as an event professional. And these two principles are what I call basic instructions of leadership and event planning. So, basic instruction number one is remember what you mean to the client. Remember what you mean to the client. Now, in this profession, a lot of times we've been taught to always put the client first, always be thinking of the client. I mean, how many times have you heard the saying, the customer is always right? What I found in my professional experience is that a lot of times the best way to consistently bring your best to each and every client is to turn your focus from the client and turn it inwards. So today we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your actions as an event professional. Now, I remember in the earliest days of my bed and breakfast when I decided to start to offer my services, one of the biggest challenges that I faced was, how do I relate to the brides? I mean, think about it. At this time, a 29-year-old single man. Just imagine you go to meet a wedding planner about your upcoming event, you walk in and meet a 300-pound offensive lineman. It's not exactly what you envisioned when you decided to look into this business. So, I had to come up with a context, a mindset that really made sense for me, something that I could understand. It's really funny. So what I would do to try to get into the mind so I could understand what's going on in the mind of a woman that's getting married is I used to play this game in my head. And what I used to do was anytime I meet a new bride, new clients, I would pretend that we were back in high school and I was trying to get her to date me. And I know it sounds funny at first, but I'm going somewhere with this. So just stay with me, So now you remember when we're back in high school, when it comes to dating, we're all pretty inexperienced, right? So when I saw this young bride-to-be, what I saw was that same young girl. I imagined as a wedding planner going through this process that I'm dealing with somebody who wants to do something that she's never done before. She's really excited about doing it, and she's found the perfect guy to do this with. She's so excited, so ready to finally do this, even though she's feeling kind of nervous, even scared about it. So I imagine over the next couple of months, I will probably end up having a lot of conversations with her with something like this. Don't worry, there's nothing to be nervous about. I know all your girlfriends are doing this. Come on, this is what people do when they're in love, you know? I promise, it's not gonna hurt at all, I promise. It's not. You trust me, right? Okay, so now you guys are all adults, so I'm just gonna show you the respect you deserve and tell it like it is. For me, the way I saw it was this event was as big a deal for her as her first love. So, you think about it when you think about it in that way, you realize that as wedding professionals, we only have one chance. We only get one shot to get it right. We only got one chance to make this perfect. And just like her first time with the wedding day, whether it is that enchanting fantasy that she envisioned, or if it's a painful, horrific nightmare, once it's done, it's done. And so that's just the same way with the wedding day. We spend months, sometimes even years putting this together, but we only have one wedding day. And whether we make it that perfect fantasy, or it's a horrific nightmare, once it's gone, it's gone. Now, it sounds funny when you think about it like that, but here's what I'm trying to illustrate. Here's what I want you to realize. Even though you already have an idea, I want you to realize how big a deal this is for this particular individual, how big a deal it is for the client. Now, this is, for us, a lot of times we have many clients, sometimes 40, 50, 60 clients, but for this particular individual, this day means her entire life. Everything that led up to this moment and that beautiful future she sees in her mind going forward from this point on. Now, what I want you to understand is what you're really being asked to do when you're being hired as an event professional. For her, this day means everything. In every single aspect of all the different aspects of the wedding, all of us that came together to make this thing happen. For her, for the client, you're just a lot more than hired help. To the client on this particular day, you're their hero. You're a superhero. Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, Batman, all wrapped into one. And you're being asked to do your job, your specific job, what you do, whether it's the pastries, whether it's the gowns, whether it's the floral. You're being asked to do a specific job, one that only you can do to make this day perfect. And so you understand that in this moment, being that this day is the most important moment in this client's history, that you mean everything to them. You're everything. You're their entire world in this moment. And sometimes we can lose sight of that. We can lose focus, especially when we're dealing with a lot of different people. But it's important to remember what you mean to the client. So when you relate yourself in this way to your business, to your job, to your craft, your art, it's easy to every single week for each individual client to bring your absolute best. It can be a lot easier when you start to relate yourself in this way. Because you understand at a much, much deeper level the significance of this particular event to these particular individuals, to this family, you understand that it's important for you to bring your A game every single time out. Because this week, you may have a wedding this week, next week, and the next 10 weeks coming up, but for each individual, it's the most important day of their life. The most important moment, a moment that we can only get it right one time. There's no do-over, there's no mulligans, there's no rewind. You only got one chance to do it right. So you understand the true meaning of what you mean to the client. Basic instruction number 1, remember what you mean to the client. Basic instruction number 2, show the client what their event means to you. Now, when I think back on the earliest days of when I first started doing event planning and wedding, as a wedding professional. My perspective on the events, I'll admit, was somewhat inaccurate. I remember after I've been doing it a while, I was having a conversation with my younger brother, and I was like, you know, when I first started doing this, I used to feel a certain energy. I used to get excited going into each and every event. But now that I've been doing this for a while, it's beginning to feel a little bit like a job. I know today it's the most important day of their life. But you know, doing this week in and week out all the time, for me, it's starting to feel like another day at the office. Now, I admit in those early days, I used to just get in the zone. You know, when you're just hyper-focused and you start to feel like you're just operating on autopilot. Sometimes you can lose that excitement, the energy, the sense of urgency, and understanding the emotional gravity of this particular event. Knowing what you mean to the client, knowing what this particular day means to her, to parents, to the groom, everyone involved, you also realize that throughout this entire planning process, your focus on what you're doing as it pertains to this particular event is unconsciously being evaluated by the client. So when the client, after it's all said and done, and the client thinks back, maybe she's talking to somebody else who's thinking about hiring you, and she's thinking about the planning process. What is the picture that she's gonna have in her mind? How does she feel? Did she feel like she was just one of your 50 clients? Or did you make them feel like their wedding was this was the only event happening on the planet right now? Even though you and I as the professionals know that it's not. How did they feel? How did they feel that your event, what did they feel it meant to them? So, when I say show the client what their event means to you, what I want you to think about is, what does your, wrong page. What I want you to think about is, what does your business mean to you? What does your craft mean to you? What does it mean to you to be a wedding professional? Why is it that you got into this business? What I want you to think about is the passion. What made you start doing this? What made you say one day that I want to be a florist, or I want to sell dresses, or I want to do calligraphy? What is it that made you say that? What is it about what you do that makes you feel energized? What is it that makes you jump out of bed in the morning on those days that you do, excited to do your job? And it's about harnessing that energy, harnessing that emotion, and channeling it in every single aspect of what you do as it pertains to planning this event. So that when the client thinks about it, even after the fact, after everything that you've done, you think about, what is it that makes you excited? And put that into everything that you do. And if you're able to do that, the client's going to be, even if you don't do everything perfect, the client's going to be able to think about you, associate what you've done with the energy you brought to their event. And that's what's going to get them excited. And they're going to be able to talk to your referrals, put up the reviews, and do all the things to help enhance your business. It's really about all the emotions that you put into it. Now, after talking with Carl and Tony and their family for a while, I realized why they were in such a hurry. Carla's mom had been battling breast cancer for some time. And one of her only wishes, and one of the things she always dreamed about, was her only daughter's perfect wedding. So they wanted to make sure everybody that was important to them was able to attend the event. So I called everybody in my network, got with all of my vendors, and explained to them the situation, what was happening. And every single one of them rose to the occasion and decided they were going to do everything they can to make this event perfect for their client, for this particular client. And so I had a clear understanding of what I meant to them and what this event meant to them. And with all the effort and everything that we did, the quality of service, the sense of urgency that we as vendors put into it, we left no doubt in their minds of what this event meant to us. This is a monumental moment in their family's history, because that's what we do as event professionals. We make history every single day. So I just want you to remember, when you think about yourself and your passion, what you put into it, bring that in everything that you do. And if you bring that to the clients, they're going to see you as perfect, and that is more valuable than any other thing you could do to enhance your business. Is bring that kind of passion to each and every client. And that really is, those are the basic instructions of leadership and event planning. So, just want you to remember that. And in terms of, this is my contact info if any of you guys are interested in connecting. And just want you to remember, we're making history, and we meet, and what that means to the history of your clients. So thank you for your time.
And let's give the Kansas City Chiefs a round of applause, guys. Come on. Chucky, thank you for the many words of advice. We're going to go ahead and turn the time over to the person in charge of all this chaos and madness here today. And just like Carla, she also has a boulder on her ring finger. So if you please could help me welcome to the stage, Alan Hine.
Thank you, Ray. Let's hear it one more time for our speaker, Chucky. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the Kansas City Wedding Guild. I first wanted to bring up the staff of Perfect Wedding Guide. If I could have Heidi and Andy and Christine come on up. I wanted to introduce them. Andy was introduced last month. He is our latest and greatest sales rep. He's covering the Kansas City market. Christine, if you all haven't already had some kind of interaction with Christine, she replaced Stephanie Ray, which was the success manager for Perfect Wedding Guide. And she is in her third week, and you got to give her kudos because she's having to deal with me, which isn't easy. We just have a lot of stuff coming up, and book closings and a bridal show, and she kind of got put into the fire. So she told me she had thick skin, so because I can be kind of demanding. Anyway, just wanted to welcome Christine. She's a very sweet lady. She has a background in banking, and so it's a little bit of a different environment for her. But she's working up to the challenge, and she's doing an amazing job. So welcome, Christine. First, I wanted to bring up Robert from Travels Unrivaled. We have a kind of exciting new program that we've launched. And I don't know if any of you have paid attention to the emails that we've been sending out. And just let you know that in the past, you've gotten stuff from us that have been like, announcement coming, we're having a guild luncheon, and we've been bombarding you with like guild luncheon emails, you know, it's about time, here's the menu, da-da-da-da, da-da-da. So we're making most of those, we're doing a weekly newsletter. So when you get a newsletter from Perfect Wedding Guide, please read it because it'll have all of our announcements condensed into that one email. So you're not going to be getting bombarded with emails like 5 times a week about the guild luncheons. They'll all be within the newsletter that you get once a week. We are giving away, Robert and Perfect Wedding Guide, a 4-day, 3-night couples resort vacation to Jamaica. And the caveat is the more guild luncheons that you actually attend and not register, you actually have to be here, you get your name into the drawing. I kind of messed up and didn't pre-plan and do the little registration things. So when you came today, we checked you off, so we're gonna get registrations made, and so you'll be in for the next one. But for everyone that you come, you get a name into the drawing. If you bring a dry good Is that it? For the,
Item from the want list,
from the want list, from the Ronald McDonald House.
which the link is on.
And the link is on the emails that we'll be sending out. You get an extra entry into the giveaway, or to the giveaway that we'll be giving away at our November luncheon at the Boulevard Brewery, which is our annual brides panel. So, as I said, the more gift luncheons that you attend, and that the more items that you, well, actually, you'll, just for, if you bring 5 items, you still only get 1 entry, extra entry, so.
But each month.
But each month it grows. So Robert's going to, he's like my sidekick. Robert's going to tell you a little bit more about couples and that giveaway.
Well, Couples Resorts, and I fell in love with them when I went to stay with them, and they're more authentic Jamaican. They are the oldest all-inclusive resort in Jamaica. They've been around longer than the other guys, and they have more inclusion than the other guys. There are 4 resorts, 2 properties in Ocho Rios, 2 properties in Jamaica, and with this stay, you can select the property that you want to go to. And so it's they're wonderful properties. There's one that will fit anybody in any style.
Thank you, Robert. I forgot to mention Heidi. Heidi is our sales rep.
They all know me.
Heidi's actually going to be celebrating in July 2 years with Perfect Wedding Guide and dealing with me. So that's saying something.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So I think as the older I get a little more cranky. I don't know what that's all about, but. So other announcements that I want to make before I recognize all the wonderful people that made all of this happen. We added another bridal show for 2020. So just to give you a schedule, if you guys are into the Perfect Wedding Guide bridal shows, we have April 28th coming up at Olathe Conference Center. This will be our 3rd year there. We do still have a couple spots left if anyone's interested. August the 11th will be at the first time at Stony Creek Resort. Very exciting. We have representatives here from Stony Creek. Is Jeff still here? Jeff and Matea? Did they take off? Oh, they took off. Anyway, we're really excited about going to that venue. It's in August. It's at Independence at the Stony Creek Resort. October 27th will be at the Overland Park Convention Center. January 4th and 5th, we are at Bartle Hall. And just to let you know, we are moving out of, if you all have done that show in the past, we have normally been in 2100s A. We are moving to E. E is the salon, the exhibit hall right across from Kaufman. Has 15 bays for move-in as opposed to 7. It has more access for vendors, because actually they told me that I can actually take access in D and have the vendors move in through D as well. The big caveat on that is that it's going to allow more parking for both brides and vendors, because guess what? They're tearing down Barney Alice Plaza parking. And so it's going to enable, I've kind of pre-thought that, and with all that, because 2100 is right across from that. So, and it's a little bit bigger space. It's 30,000 square feet more to accommodate for a little show that's not going to happen anymore. So,